All right, everyone, we're now at the point where you're going to finally learn your first crochet stitch, and that is the single crochet. The single crochet is the most common stitch, and it's the foundation for all other stitches that you're going to learn and use throughout your crochet journey. So to start, begin with a slip knot and put this on your hook. And now we're going to make a chain, and for this video I'm going to make a row of 15 single crochet stitches. So I'm going to chain 15, and I was counting as I went, but I am going to count just to make sure I have 15 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And again, you count those chains by counting these V shapes that you created, and you can count just the top bump to help you keep track. And now anytime you're working in rows, you need to turn and work back across the row you just made. And to do this, you create a turning chain. So since I want 15 single crochet stitches, I actually want a total of 16 chains so that I have one to help me turn backward. So I'm going to create one more chain here so I have a total of 16. Now you're going to skip the first chain, so the loop on your hook doesn't count, so you're ignoring that loop. Skip that first chain, and now working into the second chain, you are going to insert your hook underneath the top loop of that second chain. So again, I have a loop on my hook. I'm skipping the first chain, the chain closest to my crochet hook, and in my second chain, insert the hook underneath that top loop on your chain. Now you're going to yarn over with your working yarn, pull it through the first loop on your hook, and now you have 2 loops on your hook. And again, you want to keep these kind of loose, not super loose, but not super tight. And now yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. And now you've created your first single crochet stitch. And now that we're at the point where we have the first stitch of our row, this is a good time to talk about stitch markers. Again, a stitch marker is a small safety pin shaped piece. These can be metal or plastic. There's lots of different stitch markers out there, but what you want to do is hook it onto your stitch to remind you where the first stitch is. It's easy to forget where your first stitches start and end, and then you might miss them or add extra stitches, and that creates uneven edges for your piece. So here's your first crochet stitch that you made. You can see the same V shape on the top of it. You're just going to take a stitch marker and slip it right underneath both loops of that crochet stitch and then close it up. So now that stitch is marked as the first stitch, and that will help us when we come back this way to know where the end of the row is. Now let's create our second stitch. So here's the chain we just worked into, and you can tell that you just worked into that chain because the yarn from our crochet stitch is looped around it. It's a little looser because we tugged on it, and there are yarn pieces looped around it because we already worked into it. So we're going to move over just one chain, find the top loop of this V-shaped chain, insert your crochet hook, yarn over, so you're just grabbing your yarn, pull it through one loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. And now you've created your second single crochet. So you can see from the top here, we have our first single crochet that is marked with our stitch marker, and then we have that second V shape that you can see from the top. Now we're going to move over to the next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over, and pull through both. In the next chain, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through one loop, yarn over and pull through both. And now you are getting in the groove of creating your single crochets all the way down that foundation chain that you created. Pull through one, pull through both. And you can see I'm holding my piece right at the base of where I'm working. If I'm holding my chain out here at the end, I have no control over my pieces. So I keep my ring finger and my thumb that I'm using to hold my piece right here just at the stitch where I'm working. And that really helps me keep control. Working into the chain is the hardest part of starting your single crochet. When we go back the other way, it's going to be a lot easier. Working in the chain is kind of hard because you don't have a whole lot to hold on to. All right, and now I'm down to my last chain. Here's my knot, and I have one more chain left there. So I'm going to work my single crochet, pull through one loop, yarn over, and pull through both. And now I've created the last single crochet of that row. And again, it's a good idea to mark this with your stitch marker so that you know it's the end of the row. And remember, we made 15 chains plus a turning chain, so we should have a total of 15 crochet stitches, single crochet stitches, and we can count these just to make sure. Here's my first one that's marked: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. My last one is marked with my stitch marker. And when you are a beginner, it's a really good idea to count your stitches after every row or every round if you're working in a circle to make sure that you're matching up with the number of stitches your pattern says you should have. And that is how you create a single crochet stitch. I'm going to teach you how to turn and work back the other way in rows. So down here at the end of your row, to turn you need a turning chain. So you're going to chain one. So you just yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook, and now you have one chain. Now flip your piece over, and it's easy to tell where the first stitch you're supposed to work into is at because your stitch marker is in it right there. You can see the V shape from the top. I'm going to take this stitch marker out, skip the chain, so here's the loop on your hook, here's the chain, and then this V right here is the first single crochet. Inserting your hook under both loops of that single crochet stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, and pull through both loops on your hook. And now you've created your first stitch of this round. You're going to go ahead and mark it. And now we can keep working our way down. So working in these top loops that create your single crochet stitch from the first round, insert your hook into the stitch. So that means underneath both loops. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. And now you'll just continue this all the way down the piece, working from the back. It looks like just one loop, but from the top you can see there's 2 loops for every single crochet stitch, and you want to make sure you're putting your hook underneath both of those loops. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both. And again, when you're just learning, your tension won't be very consistent, and that's okay because you're getting comfortable, you're getting the hang of how to hold your yarn and hook. But you want to keep practicing so that eventually you have a nice even tension, which gives your crochet piece a nice even consistent look all the way across. I've arrived to my last stitch, which is marked with my stitch marker. I'm going to take that out, Still insert your hook under both loops of that last stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops, and then mark your stitch again right away so that you know where the end of that round lands. And now to work back the other way, you would just chain, turn, and then repeat that exact same process. And you could continue that for as many rows as you want. If you don't want to use up too much of your yarn with your practice, you can always frog it by pulling out the piece and starting over again. You only need to practice this a few times just to get the hang of how to create the single crochet stitch. For those of you who are just learning this stitch for the first time, I'm so excited that you now know how to create a single crochet, because once you have that down, that is the foundation for everything else you'll learn in a crochet project. So if you want to go ahead and practice this a few more times, you can go ahead and do that. If you're going to be creating a stuffed animal that's worked in the round, make sure to check out the video for working your single crochet stitches in the round, and then you'll be on your way to completing your crochet project.